kidnapping crisis. FCT residents blame security agencies. Yesterday was Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and of course we have the photo on the cover of Leadership, where we have the Chief of Staff, General Christopher Musa, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, Chief of Air Staff, M. Masha Hassan Bala Abubakar, and Inspector General Police Kayode Egbetokun doing laying of wreath at the military cenotaph to mark the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Abuja yesterday. Other stories gracing the cover this morning says president, governors, lawmakers pay tributes to fallen heroes. That is the story for the photo caption on the cover. Detained vessel, 23 arrested, Tinubu orders probe Hayes Tantita. That's also a continuation of yesterday's leading story. Detained vessel, 23 arrested, Tinubu orders probe Hayes Tantita. Above the masthead, we have Supreme Court, Nasarawa, APC, PDP signed peace deal. Ganduje Konkoso endorsed Kano Elders Council. We move again down below where we have some stories in the box. 7 family members die in Kano Ifano. Food transport costs push inflation to 28.9%. 100 missing after boat capsizes in Niger. AFCON 2023, Senegal trash Gambia 3-0. We move to the page 3 of the paper for our stand, where we have creating enabling environment for SMEs. Our stand, creating enabling environment for SMEs, and of course we move over to Ray Murphy's page on the back page of Leadership. Well, it's called Tuesday column, and Ray Murphy is writing on no grief for anybody. That is the slogan that's gone viral. It says a positive rallying Ray leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move to Daily Sun. Daily Sun is next on our menu, still on security issues. Kidnappers go gaga, rake in millions from Abuja victims. Kidnappers go gaga, rake in millions from Abuja victims. Key 3, over 300 residents kidnapped in 2023. Mountains on and across the country. Kidnapped in 2023 in Abuja. Mountains, ungoverned areas serve as hideouts. Second leading story on the paper says Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Tinubu, governors, lawmakers, others honor fallen heroes. Ceremony refreshes our pain. Aluko, Widows Association President. Inflation has rendered our pension useless. Jibrin, Veterans Chair. For more, log on to the website of Daily Sun. But other stories gracing the cover are federal government acquires BPE stakes in 11 electricity discos. Federal government acquires BPE stakes in 11 electricity discos. And above the masthead, just beside the masthead, we have 3.6 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrest ex-minister Ugu. Governors committed to ending banditry, terrorism, other crimes. Sani. Tinubu governors APC chair orders witness Uzodima's second term inauguration. Hoodlums invade Ekiti teaching hospital, attack doctors, steal corpse. 747 CBT centers cleared for 2024 UTME. These are the headline stories on Daily Sun. For more, log on to the website of Daily Sun. Even as we move over to Vanguard. Vanguard is still on security issues. It says, insecurity, gunmen round riot in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, 3 others. Insecurity, gunmen run riot in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, three others. Bandits kill 3, abduct 50 in Zamfara. Kidnappers kill 3 of 10 victims in Abuja, raise ransom to 700 million naira. Bandits raid military camp, unleash mayhem on Katsina community. Kidnappers engage soldiers, overrun Enugu local government, abduct 4. Varsity lecturer abducted in Kebbi. Hoodlums invade Exut, steal corpse. Poverty, hunger, fueling insecurity in Nigeria. Atiku laments. Governor Sani seeks time frame to end terrorism. Senator Musa calls for state police. That is the rider on the headline story on insecurity. Government run riots in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, three others. Of course, we have the picture of 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day with President Bola Tinubu laying wreath at the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration at the National Arcade, Abuja. Underneath that, we have cost of business to remain high as inflation hits 28.9%. Electricity, Disco's revenue collection rises 30% to 782.74 billion naira. And in sports, Super Eagles hit gym for battle against Cote d'Ivoire. Above the masthead of Vanguard, credits to government falls 45% to 5.16 trillion naira. Tinubu commenced anti-terror security orders for fighting oil theft. Communal crisis, scores injured, houses set ablaze in Kwara. Uzodima's second term, Imo safe for business, says Tinubu. These and more are the stories in Vanguard today. For more, log on to the website of Vanguard newspaper. Even as we move briskly to the Punch. Punch's headline story is still on insecurity issues. Abduction epidemic spreads nationwide. Abduction epidemic spreads nationwide. Kidnappers move from expressways to Lagos, Ogun, Abuja city centers. Abductors kill 2 young victims, demand 700 million naira ransom for 9 others. I'll take that leading story once again. Abduction epidemic spreads nationwide. Kidnappers move from expressways to Lagos, Ogun, Abuja city centers. Abductors kill 2 young victims, demand 700 million naira ransom for 9 others. Beneath the photo caption, of course, the story for the photos that we are seeing, pictures gracing the Armed Forces Remembrance Day yesterday. Tinubu National Assembly governors remember fallen soldiers. Underneath that, fire kills 7 family members in Kano. Kidnapping, Wike fiddles with Rivers politics while Abuja burns. 69 protesters killed, 189 journalists arrested under Buhari, according to reports. 69 protesters killed, 189 journalists arrested under Buhari, reports. Above the masthead of the Punch, OPS blames struggling Naira for highest inflation in 21 years. 14 states spent 21 billion Naira on foreign trips despite zero foreign direct investment, that is FDI. 14 states spent 21 billion Naira on foreign trips despite zero FDI. EFCC to arraign ex-minister over unpaid 3.6 billion Naira loan. These are the headline stories on The Punch. For more, log on to the website of The Punch, www.punchng.com. From The Punch, we move to THISDAY. These days leading stories on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day yesterday. At Armed Forces Day, Tinubu other leaders honor nation's fallen heroes. At Armed Forces Day, Tinubu other leaders honor nation's fallen heroes. Above that, kidnappers of Abuja residents kill 2 more victims, raise ransom to 700 million naira. Kidnappers of Abuja residents kill 2 more victims, raise ransom to 700 million naira. Above the masthead of This day, NNPCL begins search for private operators for refurbished Port Harcourt refinery. NNPCL begins search for private operators for refurbished Port Harcourt refinery. Faces applicants' annual turnover at $2 billion. MOFI takeover of federal government's 40% shares in D-schools, essential element of our consolidation. The story continues on page 6 of This Day. For more, log on to the website of This Day newspaper, www.thisdaylive.com. From This Day newspaper, we move to The Nation. Nation's headline story says Tinubu prosperity soon after subsidy removal pains. President Obasanjo, governors, senators honor Uzodinma at second inauguration. PBAT, that is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, OBJ, a dramatic meeting in Owerri. NNPCL opens bid to privatize Port Harcourt refinery. Firms get January 29 deadline to submit EOI. And on the street, fire kills 7 family members in Kano. Workers march on Abuja. Above the masthead, we have terrorists, bandits on the rampage, just like other previous newspapers. Terrorists, bandits on the rampage. Masu Akadia must pay 60 million naira to save daughters. DSS takes over MPC headquarters over adoption of staffed kits. Abuja, 10 kidnappers kill 3, raise ransom to 700 million naira. First Lady urges security agencies to up their game. Another story, President leaders Lord SAPC chair Akonde at 85. MBS puts inflation rate at 28.92%. The story continues on page 9 of The Nation. For more, log on to the website of The Nation newspaper. From The Nation, we move over to the last paper we have on our menu, and that is The Guardian. Guardian's leading story says 2024 oil production, federal government strained to meet 650 million barrels target over crude-backed loans. 2024 oil production, federal government strained to meet 650 million barrels target over crude-backed loans. And just beneath that, we have illustration, Nigeria's oil output lowest in decades. Beside that, 7 richest Africans wealthier than poorest half of continent's population. 7 richest Africans wealthier than poorest half of continent's population. NNPCL shops for net worth investors to manage Port Harcourt refinery. The story is on page 3 of The Guardian. Tinubu leads Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Federal government $35,000 wage award remains till new minimum wage, NLC declares. Nigeria's inflation ends 2023 at 28.9% as Naira anxiety worsens outlook. Reconsider INEC budget for accountability and democracy. That is the editorial on page 12 of The Guardian. I'll take that again. Reconsider INEC budget for accountability and democracy. Minister orders discos to supply transformers to communities. Incessant kidnappings unsettle Abuja residents. That's the news on page 30 of The Guardian. Incessant kidnappings unsettle Abuja residents. Of course, like I said earlier, insecurity situation dominated the covers of national newspapers today in Nigeria. And of course, my name is Winifred Ugbebo. That brings us to the end of the first half of the show Inside Nigeria. Don't forget, second part of the program is just coming. Don't go away, stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Millions from Abuja victims. Vanguard said insecurity, gunmen run riots in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, three others. While the point says abduction epidemic spreads nationwide. The nation is not left out. Nation says terrorists, bandits on the rampage. And the Guardian also has a taste of it when he said incessant kidnappings unsettle Abuja residents. Now, what can be done? There's palpable fear in the hearts of many Nigerians, especially those living in FCT.
Honestly, it's a
We
very,
thought we've seen
very,
it all under former
yeah,
President
it's a
Muhammadu
sad,
Buhari.
it's a sad, very, very sad. I mean, especially for the victims, you would really have to feel for the victims. You would have to understand where they are plight. But maybe the reason why I put a little smile to it is because at this moment, honestly, I want to feel that um, that there must be some fifth columnists
Yes, in the security.
who, no, generally in the country, I mean, in terms of stakeholders of the country,
Yes.
there must be some fifth columnists who have chosen to always use this security situation to kind of settle political scores or curry. Do you understand? Or maybe when they see
But
that the
what
government
happened-
is not going their way. Because, I mean, 1 year before
Yes.
Buhari left, everywhere had come quiet.
Yes.
Yes, even Kaduna to Abuja road, people had, even me, I drove on that road maybe some, because my confidence got back over time when I saw that people used to go and come. People used to go and come.
Oh,
But
yes,
all of
it's
a
true,
sudden,
yes. I think I
all
even
of a
took that
sudden
route.
now,
Everything collapsed.
everywhere is on. Do you understand? And
But
the
what
news
happened
is
to our
out there.
security agencies? Our
So
security seem to have
when I tell you
collapsed.
that they are fifth columnists, you know, when these people, it's a ring. So you
it's a
find
ring.
them in every of their in the band. Of course, the bandit situation. Now let's put it in a clear perspective. The bandit situation is as a result of excessive poverty and illiteracy and what have you. So, but now, you know, when there's a lacuna, when there's an opening, people now who want to use it
Yes,
for ulterior
neutral
motive
hate
will latch in, and then they'll hijack it, and then they will now use it for what. At this moment, you would have no reason not to conclude that definitely certain people have chosen to want to be using this to perhaps maybe when the government is not going their way, or maybe when they are
Yes,
betrayed,
yes.
or this or
They want
that.
to cause
They want to
unrest.
now cause unrest, so they will make the president. I mean, it happened to Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, Goodluck Jonathan
That was
became
when Boko
vindicated in
Haram
this
became-
country.
yeah.
He became vindicated at the end of the day, because even after he left, the whole thing didn't even stop again. But people felt he was the one who was doing this or that. So at the end of the day, what can the government do? Let's go to the solution.
You know what we are saying now, just before we get to the solution, is what the former governor El-Rufai, Malam Nancy El-Rufai said that time when they were trying to placate. Then the blame was on Fulani herdsmen, and El-Rufai said, "Look, there's no way somebody that have tasted this use some of money
Oh,
will not want to
absolutely.
just leave this
Oh,
money. That is
definitely.
kidnapping and not go back to
Yes,
hearing
yes.
cows. How much are they making from cows?
Absolutely.
You
And it's
know,
not
that's
like the government has any job for
exactly.
them.
You know,
It's
that
not
was
like
what
anybody has any job
yes, that
for
was what he
them.
said.
So at
That
the end of
rich
the day,
really
something is
know
bringing
his
cash in.
sand. You know, he's
So
very, very
and then
intelligent. So
these
people
are
that have
people
tasted
who
this
are
kind of
not
money.
intelligent,
But
like I told you.
what is you talked about field columnists, of course, everywhere and including the security agencies. So are there not the same, at least same ones still there that can actually help to curb this situation? Because we're
But how do you
having
know? Look,
situation
when
that's
you are having something that is covert, something that is hidden, something that even within you now, the next person, you don't even understand what meetings he attends, who he speaks to, what he does. How can you know all of these things? It's an extremely it's not even only in Nigeria. Issues around terrorism all over the world
yeah, but
have always
now
proved difficult.
okay.
Do you understand to really like unravel because it's something that is in covert and these guys are pro at some of these things. So for me, right, what does the president has to do, or any president for that matter, who wants to solve this problem?
And meanwhile, they told us, okay, there are so many trumped up things they put in place like NIN, SIM, BVN.
Exactly.
Just to guide.
So
How
those
come
are some of
they are
the those
not
are some of
working?
the
Is what I keep
infrastructure.
asking.
Those
Yes.
are some of the infrastructure that the president has to make sure put somebody he trusts. For example, now if you take the NIN policy, Pantami succeeded in it because he got at least over 100 million Nigerians. In fact, almost all of us
Registered.
now have NIN, which is okay, and a lot of it, I guess, has been leaked to the GSM. But those other people to use it now, what is the resolve? So perhaps the president may have to take somebody he trusts, who will go and make sure that there is that handshake between NIMSI and already he has already appointed somebody for NIMSI, and I guess she's his trustee. But then he needs the other arm to get somebody who will now come and form this handshake. And beyond that, honestly, right now, there is more than enough food for the terrorists to feed on. Poverty. The recruitment is daily increasing. If you understand the rate at which the recruitment is increasing, no, the recruitment into the banditry, because everybody now wants to. People are hungry now. People don't have anything to do. People are hopeless. So the only thing is they know that when they join those guys, they'll get something to put in their pocket. So the recruitment is high. So how can we now begin to think about solving this poverty issue and illiteracy issue? That's another very, very big issue, and it's a very big gap that the federal government alone cannot even fill. The state governments, are they ready? So honestly, at the end of the day, you get to, just like I heard somebody saying in another channel this morning, that it has almost got to a point of giving up.
Yes.
It has almost got to a
Why
point
are
of
our
giving up.
security agencies not deploying technology like I just mentioned this one? Because they bring it to bear, like I mentioned yesterday during the program, that they bring it to bear when maybe you lost your phone or they want to track somebody down. The police can actually do that. But why are they not deploying such technology to tackle?
Have you forgotten
security?
the word people always talk about? They say will, political will.
Because they
So
ask you
all of
when
this
you
in
lose your-
Nigeria, they'll
ask
tell
to
you
pay some
Nigeria
money.
has all the laws,
I have people that
Nigeria
are
has
with
all
them.
the architecture,
Yes.
Nigeria has all the instruments, but is the political will there? Sometimes even the president can have the will, but unfortunately, the people he will assign to go and do will not share the same of his vision. They are not necessarily ready. Now let's look at some of these things. The president appoints you into a position. 7 months into your tenureship, the only thing that can be found is an attempt for you to embezzle. That means obviously you do not carry the interest of the president at heart. It's obvious. There's no this thing. You're only carrying your own agenda, which you are focusing on trying. So the question to ask is, how many of so far, maybe perhaps the president needs to make some sort of review to actually understand how many of these guys are actually ready to carry his vision to fruition. And he needs to check that very, very quickly right now, if he himself truly wishes to make it at the end of the day, because things are really getting out of hand. When you have poverty, excessive poverty, come and meet insecurity, They are two very good friends. So
They are, yes.
they will
they
just
run
get
after-
married
exactly.
and just move on
Yeah, I
and
agree
just
with
make
you.
your life very, very unbearable.
Now, don't you think the call for state policing is now than ever? Is needed
But
now
all
more
of
than
these
ever?
things have been said. It's not even today state policing started. Even during Jonathan, there was confab, where confab comprehensively addressed our issues. So imagine if they had just taken confab to implement. By now, we'll probably not even be
But
here.
there have been calls for
So
state policing.
these are all
Why
the
is it that
things. So,
maybe,
so I'm asking, why was
lawmakers-
confab not implemented?
Limited.
So the reason why confab was not implemented will perhaps continue to be the reason why all of these structural adjustments will not be allowed to see the light of the day. I mean, I don't get it and I don't understand. And that's why I say perhaps at this point you must conclude that there are certain highly vested interests in some of these matters, perhaps who are definitely, utilizing it for some political gains.
Thank you so much. Like you said earlier, so what is the way forward?
The way forward stops on the buck of the president. He has to understand it for what it is. He has to understand that this could also be consequences of whatever. And so, in mitigating or solving these problems, you have to be deliberate, you have to be honest, and then you have to look at these things very, very deeply. Sometimes you may even have to let the one that you don't like his face to even come and do the work. So there has to be, he has to bring everybody together. He has to, and that's why you see some people are actually happy with the Supreme Court judgment of Friday.
Okay.
Because, the whole country had become engulfed with this feeling that the executive was in charge of the judiciary and they could make them do what they want to do. But the fact that Supreme Court came out to actually do the needful, because amidst all of this insecurity now, if you had had some different judgments than they came on Friday, like especially in Kano and Plateau, we probably wouldn't even be talking about this now, would have been talking about the different news. So tendencies like that, how can you really bring together everybody? Do you understand? How can you, if including the opposition, everybody, you have to bring them on board. This winners take all we cannot go anywhere. Do you understand? Because certain gang of only APC members cannot own the country while everybody is outside. Definitely there's going to be anger, there's going to be this, plus the poverty, plus even inside your party there are people who are feeling, I'm supposed to have been compensated, I have not been compensated. And so when you let these issues continue to, it was rife under Buhari up until he left. For him it was 8 years, so it didn't explode.
Exactly.
But I am not sure it is that the sustainability of such kind of tendency, it can be accommodated for more time now, honestly.
All right. Meanwhile, many people are also flaying the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, that is embroiled in reverse politics, while his portfolio, that is FCT, boys, inundated with crime rates. He has not done anything.
Yes,
He's
and honestly,
like
if leaders want to make the best of their administrations or their stewardship, they would have to be open to hearing the bitter truth. And the bitter truth for somebody like the Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike is he has to also understand that, just like he always says it, that on the mandate of Ashwaju he stands, then he has to also prove it by action.
Yes.
Because at the moment he has to, see, in
action.
life we have to make concessions. We have to make compromises to certain things. So if I'm for your cause, I'll have to compromise some of my things. I have to let go some things. So yes, he might love reverse politics. He might still want to be in charge of, but at the moment, the president has given him an assignment.
Yes.
And the president now, his own part of the assignment is giving the president a very bad optics.
Yes.
So he needs to now come and really prove to the president that indeed he has got his interest at heart. So he needs to come back here and let him, act like the lion that he says he is. Which is a lie. He acts like one.
It's actually the chief.
He roars all the time. So I think that action part of the lion needs to come and be seen in Abuja, so that at least the president will be vindicated that he indeed carried him along. Otherwise, Abuja really right now it's
boiling.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, talking about the high cost of or the hardship facing Nigerians, it seems there's no end in sight yet because a report says NBC says cost of business to remain high as inflation hits 28.9%. It's also what's reported in some of the papers today.
So
Inflation is still
how
skyrocketing.
do you want to solve this poverty issue in Nigeria? I mean, I keep asking everybody every day because look, unless you're well traveled in Nigeria, you can never understand how large this country is.
It is.
And you cannot understand the high rate of population. If you go to the streets of Kano or Kaduna alone and you see the young men and women roaming around, hopeless with nothing to do, then you understand the depth of this problem I'm telling you. But it's not a problem that Aswaju can solve. This is something I know. See, there's no way that the federal government can solve this poverty. It has to be a collaborative with the state government. But the state governments, are they ready? They are not, certainly. They have even already eaten so much debt. The monies that are even going to them now are not enough. Plus, they are very expensive lifestyles that is more of mandatory for them to maintain and all of that. So let anybody come and tell me how this poverty wants to reduce, really, in all honesty. Even if you say you want to go to, for example, the northern Nigeria and do industrialization, it will take you another 4 or 5 years to get the industry first built before you get it running. Profit comes, employment, and this. So you can see that it is something that even if you say you want to start the roadmap now, at least you need like a 10, 15 years plan to get people. So for me, like really, when I see people who are thinking that Aswaju has come and so in 4 years there's going to be milk and honey, it's not going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen. So these are all the things. But the only thing we will continue to encourage the government is to, as much as possible, take the right economic decisions. So that at the end of the day, at least the things will be easing, and perhaps gradually we'll get there. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that. At least you left us with some hope.
Perhaps. Yeah, we'll definitely have to tell them. We hope they are really listening.
All right, thank you so much, Hashim Suleiman. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So, viewers, this is where we end today's Inside Nigeria. Is your breakfast show, your favorite breakfast show on Leadership Television. Don't forget, same time, same station. Tomorrow is another day. I'm Winifred Webo. See you then.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.